This is the Cubs Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Chicago Cubs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Locked On Cubs Postcast here on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. Joe George, Postcast host, here with you, and the Cubs are not dead yet. They force Game 4 in this series. Lots to get to in this one. We'll talk about what we saw in the first inning, Jameson Taillon's performance, what we saw from the bullpen in this game, the struggles after the first. We can't obviously ignore those. We'll talk about the plan for Game 4 tomorrow night. Your comments will be welcome in here in the chat on YouTube as well. Thank you to everyone listening on all your podcast platforms, Apple and Spotify. Just watch Matt and Sam do their show before me. Lots of good stuff there. So if you want to check that out as well, you can after we're done here. But the Cubs win 4-3. They get all their runs again in the first inning. 4 runs in the first. Michael Busch, Pete Crow-Armstrong, they come through when you need them, right? Right at the beginning of the game, you got to put pressure on the local kid, Priester, and get to him. And they accomplished that. And that's the best part of what we saw from the lineup today is the first inning. The problems are still there. We're going to talk about the good stuff. The problems are still there. But coming out in the first inning, like if the Cubs had a chance to win this game today, they needed to do exactly what they did. And that's go out there, score multiple runs in the first, push the starter out of the game. Obviously, they didn't have any success against the Brewers bullpen, but if you're going to get a chance to do that, you got to get the starter out of there. And Michael Busch, what he's done in the leadoff spot, it's incredible. He has been a monster there. It reminds me so much of when Rizzo was there hitting leadoff for the Cubs, the power that he brings. And Pete Crow-Armstrong, who has been obviously rightfully frustrated. We saw it again today, screaming at the umpires, throwing his glove when he could have made that catch. It was a tough play. Very upset. We saw him, in the last game, throwing his bat and stuff like that, but comes through there in the bottom of the first. And you need those guys to step up. And the Cubs haven't had that. And again, today they left a lot of runners in scoring position, a lot of the runners on base. The problems are still there, but in that first inning specifically, you needed it. And there's signs that, this game has a lot more positives, even though the runners in scoring position isn't great. Like seeing Kyle Tucker get 2 hits in this game. Seiya Suzuki making really hard contact in this game. I think the double was like 117 miles an hour off the bat. An incredible catch by the Brewers right fielder that robbed him of a hit in this one as well. So the lineup felt more alive in this game. Even though they only scored 4 runs in the first inning, the lineup was better today than it has been so far in this series. If they're going to make a series out of this thing, though, for real, which is win tomorrow and get this thing back to Milwaukee, you got to score runs outside of the first inning. Like it's good they finally scored more than 3 runs in a playoff game. They got enough to get the W today, but they got to get guys home later in the game. They did have a lot of opportunities, not a lot of opportunities, but a couple crucial opportunities in this game where they just didn't get the big hit again. And you need that to change. That to me is going to be the difference maker in this series. We'll get to the pitching part of it here in a second, but from the lineup perspective, you have to get guys home out of the first after the first inning because they're accomplishing that. Like whether it's Busch, Suzuki, or today Busch and PCA, they're getting guys home in the first. But it's going to be impossible to win this series. It feels like to do this same recipe tomorrow. If you score 3 runs in the first and you don't score again in the next 8 innings of baseball, I have a hard time envisioning the Cubs winning the game with this exact same formula. They really needed that insurance run. Like after Kittredge gave up the home run to make it a 1-run game, it felt like they desperately needed an insurance run in this game. They obviously did not get it, but tomorrow they're going to need it because the Brewers, man, like they fight, they take good at bats. They're obviously a very, very good baseball team. So if you're going to try to push this thing to Game 5 and back to Milwaukee, you need more runs after the first inning. So it's a step in the right direction. The only way you can, win this series is by winning 1 game at a time at this point. You put yourself in a 2-0 hole, and it's a cliche, but they always say a series doesn't really start, whether it's baseball or basketball, whatever, hockey. A series doesn't really start until the home team loses. Well, the home team loses tomorrow and the series is over. But today's a good day to get the Cubs to at least force a Game 4 if you're going to have a chance to win the series, today was obviously the first thing you needed today. And what also you needed in this one was good pitching. We'll talk about who's going to start game 4 here in a little bit. I'm hoping we'll just get an announcement before the show is over that it is going to be Matthew Boyd or someone else. But Jameson Taillon gave you pretty much everything you needed him, you needed from a starting pitcher. 4 innings at this point, at the way baseball is structured now. I heard Matt and Sam talking about this. It'd be nice to see these guys go longer in the game, but it's just not the way the sport works anymore. They yank guys early. They trust their bullpen. Craig Counsell rightfully trusts his bullpen, the guys who are then now, which is something I felt like I was not going to be able to see in the postseason. But the reason why the Cubs are even in this position is because of the bullpen. But Taillon gives you the 4 innings that you desperately needed in this game, something you have not gotten from Boyd and Imanaga in the first games of this series. Taillon did his job. He was very impressive. And I heard Justin Steele on Marquee before the game, or I saw the clip online about feeling confident in Taillon on the bump. It's deserved. He's been nails for you out there on 2 elimination games and giving you a chance to win the baseball game to support this team. And he was able to do that. He ends up on the day, final line score for Jameson Taillon: 4 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, 75 pitches. So you can make the argument, go back out there for the 5th, but at the end of the day, it worked because the bullpen, again, is nails. I mean, Drew Pomerantz, an inning pitched, 2 strikeouts, has yet to give up a single run, a 0.00 ERA in the postseason. Palencia comes in. He gets his inning, 3 up and 3 down. Kittredge obviously gives up the leadoff homer. Gets a little stressful there with Kittredge on the mound, but ultimately, him and gets out of it. Thielbar and Brad Keller, they finished off the final 2 innings. So your bullpen did everything you could have asked for and more, shutting down a Brewers lineup that is very, very talented and obviously has got major damage against your starters so far in this series. And the home run tonight that was hit off Kittredge, that was the first run the Brewers have scored in this series after the 5th inning. So the bullpen through 3 games has been excellent. And they were again tonight. And Keller coming out there, getting the final out of the 8th, getting all 3 outs in the 9th. I mean, he has been probably the best story for the Cubs. It's probably closest between him and Pomerantz. But, Keller, a guy who's, sent away by the worst team in baseball, comes here, and now he is someone that I think we all can feel very confident in as a lockdown closer for the Cubs for at least the remainder of the postseason. Hopefully that's a lot more games than just tomorrow, and everyone should be hands on deck for tomorrow. I mean, everyone should be available outside of Jameson Taillon. Probably Colin Ray is not available, I would imagine, either, but it's pretty much everyone's got to go out there and be on the mound. Kevin asks, can Taillon pitch tomorrow too? I wish he could. It'd be awesome if he could, but unfortunately, he cannot. So we'll take a break here. We'll get to your questions and comments here in the chat on YouTube. We'll talk about what we want to see from tomorrow's game, Game 4, season on the line once again for the Chicago Cubs. We'll get to that next year on the Locked On Cubs postcast. Today's show is brought to you by Rugiet. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. Rugiet Go Long is not just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. The process is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. And also, the effects last up to 36 hours. Confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to rugiet.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com, rugiet.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB, and make sure to use our promo code so they know that we sent you.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
All right, keys to winning tomorrow's game. Matthew Boyd. Before we do that, actually, let's get to our Locked On Player of the Game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Very quickly here, I'll go Locked On Player of the Game. I'm going to go Brad Keller. I mean, you need your closer to come in, get 4 outs to win this baseball game. So to me, the Locked On Player of the Game today is Brad Keller. PCA, strong case to be made for him. Maybe if he makes that catch, we give it to him in this one. Probably would have been a 5-star catch today because he was right there, but the wind just knocked it down. But Keller, to me, you need your closer to come in, shut the door like he did. So big moment for him. And then let's get to what you'll be talking about after this game.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Well, we're all talking about who's starting in game 4 right now. Let's see. Eddie says, do we really want to see Boyd on the mound tomorrow? I would rather not. Also, absolutely no way you can put Boyd on the bump tomorrow. Look, I definitely understand the feeling of the terror of seeing Matthew Boyd on the mound. They have not announced it yet as we're live here, but I expect Matthew Boyd to be the starter for game 4 of this series for a couple reasons. One, he's on regular rest. What's your next option? You go Savale for 2 or 3 innings, probably 2 innings, hand it off to your bullpen. You got guys like, okay, so you can go through the same order that you went to tonight. Let's say you got Pomerantz, Palencia, Thielbar, Kittredge, Keller. That's 5 innings. Maybe you can stretch that to 6 innings. So could Savale get you 3, and then the rest of those guys give you 6? Possibly, you could. I'm open to that idea, but I think, frankly, what Craig Counsell's decision tomorrow is going to be is that Matthew Boyd is on the mound. And frankly, like, it's the position that the front office has put this manager in. I don't really know what the other options are. I don't think a full bullpen game makes a ton of sense. Like, to me, if the Cubs are going to win this series, it's going to be because Matthew Boyd gives you 4 strong innings, hands it off to the bullpen, and then in game 5, Shota Imanaga is going to be back on the bump, and you got to get 4 innings out of him. I don't want to see Ben Brown out there. I think that'd be crazy. I know he strikes guys out, but like the Brewers don't strike out. And like Ben Brown, I can't believe we're at a point now where, and this isn't anything against Ben Brown or Colin Ray. Colin Ray has been really good as of late. We're like, there's so little confidence in Matthew Boyd from the fan base, rightfully so, and Shota Imanaga, that people actually want Ben Brown to appear in playoff games. I think it's crazy. He's awful most of the season. He's got some strikeout numbers, but for the most part, like, no one wanted to see Ben Brown. We were asking for this guy to be sent down to the minors every other start this season. So seeing that, thought process, again, while I understand it, I think that Craig Counsell, to me, my guess is he's going to trust the veterans. He's going to trust the guys that helped the Cubs get to this point. And while Matthew Boyd's been struggling and slowing down, in my opinion, I definitely think there's some fatigue going into place here. He's going to be, I think he's going to be the starter. And I honestly, like, truth serum here, I think Matthew Boyd gives you the best chance to win tomorrow. Like, I think you need a starter to do what Jameson Taillon did today to get you a win. 4 innings. You need your starter to get you 4 innings tomorrow. That's the best recipe for a victory against the Milwaukee Brewers. And I know that's a good point here. Like Ben Brown does have good numbers against the Brewers, and that's why he's on the roster. It's a good point by Kevin here and Progressively Independent here. He does have good numbers versus Milwaukee, but I'm going with the veteran at this point. I mean, if you're going to go, let's talk this Ben Brown out thing for a second here, okay? You have to go with an opener. Ben Brown's best starts this year have been after an opener. So I'm starting this game with however you think the Brewers are going to roll out their lineup, righty or lefty heavy, whether it's Savale or maybe it's Pomerantz there, and then I'm handing the ball to Ben Brown if you're doing that. But the thing with Ben Brown tomorrow, or Savale, if Boyd is your game 4 starter, they should be up and ready the moment the first pitch is thrown. They need to be ready to come into the game after Matthew Boyd faces 3 batters. The first 3 batters come out and they have 2 doubles and it's 1-0, and the third batter is 110 mile an hour out at Wrigley Field, but the wind's blowing in a little bit and it keeps it in the ballpark. Yank them. It's got to be the shortest of shortish leashes tomorrow for everybody. And like if Pomerantz is out there and he struggles a little bit, you got to be ready to hand the ball to Daniel Palencia. His name is Daniel. I don't think the TV broadcast understands that. No one calls him Danny. They did it like 100 times today. It was exhausting listening to. But you have to be a quick hook tomorrow for Craig Counsell. And ultimately, like what it comes down to for me is because the pitching outside of the starting pitchers has been plenty good enough to win this series from what you've gotten from your bullpen. If the Cubs are going to win tomorrow and they're going to force a game 5, I said at the start of the show, they have to score at least one run after the first inning. You had opportunities in this game to get guys home, and you just didn't do it. I don't think we'll see a lineup change. I think, again, Craig Counsell is going to stick with his crew right now. I think it could be different if Kyle Tucker could play in the outfield. If Kyle Tucker could play in the outfield, I could envision a scenario where Ballesteros is your DH, Tucker's in right, and Suzuki's in left, and Ian Happ is on the bench. But Tucker clearly can't play in the outfield. Also, Tucker, what are you doing on the base pass, man? That awful play in this game. But I don't think we're going to see, Tucker and right. It would be a shocker of all shocks. So it's going to be the same lineup tomorrow. I know Matt Shaw has been struggling mightily at the plate. He ain't coming out of the lineup either. And his defense is too valuable. And frankly, does anyone really think like Willie Castro is going to be any better at third base? Or you going to put Justin Turner, 40-year-old Justin Turner at third base tomorrow? No, Matt Shaw is going to be the third baseman. It's the same group tomorrow. I would be shocked if we see anything different from the Cubs. Might be pleasantly surprised. But Kyle Tucker getting 2 hits in the game, that to me is also what this is ultimately going to come down to. Is that something that we saw from him today that can roll over into the next series or into this next game? Can Kyle Tucker start to build on something? A guy who has been a disaster in the postseason, if you include this year, his last 4 postseasons have not been good. He has been awful, frankly, here in Chicago and in Houston. So you need to see Kyle Tucker tomorrow. He needs to have a big plate appearance. Him and both Ian Happ. Feels like to me those are the guys that you need more than anybody else in this lineup to come through. Say is producing, Busch is producing, Nico's producing. You need Tucker to produce with his bat. The walks have been great. They've helped rally the Cubs, give the Cubs opportunities in game 2 to be on base for Suzuki, to be on base today for PCA. Like those are all like he's getting on base, but he needs to put contact and make a good swing. Swanson too. Yeah, I mean, all of them is a great answer. Yeah, the lineup has not been good enough, and it needs to be better dramatically if it's Peralta on the mound or whoever it's going to end up being for the Milwaukee Brewers. But we got one more day. We'll see what happens tonight. It's based on what time the Cubs are going to play tomorrow. Could be 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock. So that will wrap it up for us. Make sure, again, if you haven't checked out Matt and Sam's show, their post-game show that they did first, you can go on there. Check it out right here on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. Same plan tomorrow. They'll go live. I'll go live as soon as they are done. Thank you all for hanging out with us here tonight on YouTube, for watching later on. Hit that subscribe button, plus wherever you get your podcast on Apple and Spotify. So thank you all for listening. Go Cubs. I'm glad the series isn't over yet, and hopefully they can get a win in Game 4 and push this thing back to Milwaukee. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow night.